Yes, yes. Welcome back to Grande Loq, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. When you hear those sweet jams, you know that you're into it with us here in Grande Loq. We're three lovers of hip hop, creators of hip hop, music fans, educated cats, and we're here to talk hip hop straight to the old heads and people who love great music. We continue to try to amplify great hip hop being made today, and so I'm one of your co-hosts, Ian Taranji. I'm here tonight, as always, with the amazing Tia Abner. Tia, how are you?
I am doing it tonight. I'm doing this. I'm here.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Our other co-host, the grandiloquent one himself, Mr. Artemis Thompson.
Mr. Whammy.
Artemis, how's it going? Mr.
All right.
Whammies, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, well, we'll get into
Good.
that. We'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, it's so good,
Congratulations.
man. Thank you.
Congratulations, my friend. My friend, well deserved. You how many
Thank
how many whammies are you currently nominated for this year?
I, I thought it was six, but it was five. So I was nominated for six, but I'm a finalist for five. So
Okay. Okay.
Good.
So five lottery tickets, five chances. What is what does the whammy even look like? Like what is it
I
what's
don't
the
know,
actual
man.
it's the actual statue that they give you? Tia, do you know?
I do not know. I do
Mm,
know that they do photo shoots with it, so it is an actual hard trophy.
yeah, a trophy.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Artemis, when you win one, you can come show us. You can come show us to everybody
Yeah,
on
man. I
Grande
mean,
Loq,
hey, like
man.
you said, lottery.
Excellent.
Hey, like you
Well,
said, it's like the lottery, man.
you're
Scratch
you've had
offs.
prodigious output in this year, and it's all been great. So this is a well deserved honor,
It's a
and
microphone, by the way. I just double checked. It's a microphone that's on sort of a plate.
excellent,
Right.
excellent, very
Yeah.
nice, very nice.
Yeah. So right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So anyway, if you guys, our audience, you make it through the end of the show, you like it, we would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, review, share, tell people about. Hit us up on Twitter, interact with us. I mean, yeah, hit Artemis and Tia up on Twitter. Just don't bother me on Twitter. Um,
Hit him up
so
anyway.
tonight, tonight, wow, we're really digging deep, and I love it. I love it. This is what's so great about the show. So we're going to talk about two tremendous albums, one newer, one classic. That's our usual format. We'll be reviewing the most recent release from Breeze Brewin and Juggaknots called Hindsight, killer album. And as you know, we always like to review the classics from the hip hop canon, and tonight is no exception. Artemis recommended A Book of Human Language by Aceyalone. Oh man, oh man, that's killing it. Between Tia a couple of weeks ago with Mecca and the Soul Brother, and then Aceyalone. Oh, this was good stuff, man. Really good stuff. We are gonna get into our feelings, remember the times, dig into what makes that album a true hip hop classic. And if you're an old head and you don't know that one, get with it. If you know it and you haven't heard it in a while, get back with it. So, yeah, excellent choice, Artemis. What prompted that one?
So like I said, we started the show. I told you we were gonna get deep
Yeah,
because Tia knows like Tia gets deeper than I do sometimes with it because she'll know certain things about albums I came up on and she'll know crazy details about them. But there's certain
nice.
albums that I think I surprised her with that I know about, and I know I surprised you about sometimes because I just be like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just da 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 da.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to present this album, put this album to put this album on the table because it's low key very educational. Low key,
yeah,
it low key is kind of like a, it's like a blueprint for like a different kind of style of rapping to me. Like even though like Freestyle Fellowship Project Blow has always had that, but that album is like you listen to it. There's just a lot of things within it that you pick up because not every song was him rapping. Some of it's like poetry. some of it is, and then you hear the jazz influence. But we'll get into that. But that's what made me want to like pick it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm looking forward to discussing that one. But we always start out with kind of like current events or discussion topic, and I wanted to have a discussion about hip hop culture, and in particular issues of misogyny, homophobia, violence that we see in like some earlier hip hop, things that were acceptable at a certain time, or at least weren't as unacceptable and seem to be more. And as we change and societal mores change, we find fewer and fewer things acceptable that were previously. And there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, but I guess the question is how we think about and how we kind of process that kind of art. This came to me because we're reviewing Dr. Dre's The Chronic last week, and that is an all-time classic that obviously influenced. Tia, you said like you actually wrote down every lyric from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the album.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it influenced a generation of hip hop lovers, and it mainstreamed in many ways, hip hop, and it's also like super problematic if you're listening to those lyrics. And I mean, so look, I'm fortunate to have the space to have this discussion with great, smart co-hosts who know hip hop culture and know deep. So I kind of want to get maybe listen and learn as much as express my own opinions. But like Tia, where do you come down on a lot of these issues of hip hop? What was acceptable previously, or at least wasn't socially punishable or whatever.
It's hard. I was recently a part of a conversation, sort of very much talking about this. One of the ending questions actually was a talk show that was produced by Flex Matthews here in the area with Words, Beats, and Life, and he had a question on sort of, is there an opportunity for redemption for some of these artists like Snoop or Dre that have recently come out? With Snoop, Dame Dash did, a few other rappers and artists have come out and said, they were young when they made this music that bashed women. They have daughters now, wives, and they don't feel the same way. And they've apologized for their sort of role, and I think sort of mainstreaming this sort of toxic masculinity or whatever people call it now, the phrase. But is it too late? Is the damage already done? And I think about like, well, better, you do better, right? So times have changed. I think in that time, as I was listening to it, I never even realized how cringe-y some of those lyrics were. It wasn't until the verses, I think, when I heard a couple of passages one time for like, it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. And it was like, oh my God, like I couldn't believe it at like, 9. That there's a whole different aspect. Like I knew every word at 9 too. It wasn't like, like we just said, it wasn't like I didn't know. And I think about now, like how, boy, my son being 10, right? Like know better, do better. I would never allow him to listen to the same type of art that I've listened to. That my journey and my perspective has completely changed as an adult and as a parent. And these kids, these guys, Snoop was, 17, 18, 19 writing this stuff. And also, there's a lot of sort of ideas around like there's a lot of underprivileged community, that were rappers. So it's not like they were coming out, they were making tons of money doing this. So it's like in that way, you may not be able to reject the money you're making from something when you're coming from poverty to say, well, I'm not going to make a song about that because it just made me $1 million. Like, this one song made me $1 million. I better do 15 more like that. So yeah, that's kind of my spin on it.
Okay. Artemis, I know you've got thoughts.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about that little Uzi Vert thing with the diamond thing. That's what I'm saying. We can get into that another time because I had some thoughts about that. But this is important.
My man thinks he's vision. My man thinks he's the vision.
We'll talk about it later. I wanted to talk about it this week. We'll talk about it later. This is important. Even though that's, oh
It's
God,
okay.
yes, that needed a whole show. But we'll talk about this. It's fine. We'll talk about this. Um,
All right.
so basically, for me, I feel like I think when I got introduced to hip hop, so many of those elements weren't there, but at the same time, it hit me early when it came to like when I heard like Cypress Hill's first album, How I Could Just Kill a Man,
Mm.
or Too Short Shorty the Pimp. Those albums, I'm enjoying the albums, but I think for me, I don't know if it hit me at a young age, but I thought about it, I was like, but these are just songs. Do I apply this to my life? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, well, if I do this one thing, there's a reaction towards that. Is it a good or bad reaction? I don't know. Probably shouldn't take the chance of doing it. Might go to jail. Might get killed. Might get slapped. Might get shot. Might get a lot of things could happen, or I might get praised for it. I don't know. But the point of it is though, I feel like engaging. I feel like the whole thing with like violence. First of all, it was way too glorified. You know,
Mm.
like it was way too much of a thing to make it look cool that you're in and out of court. You're trying to beat the case. You know, and they're not even talking about how much money they're probably paying for a lawyer, or they have like a a bad defending lawyer, a bad like public defending lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
with the misogyny, um, I felt I've been fighting this a lot with peers of mine from back in the day. I think I talked about it on the show before. I feel like when it came to listening to women in hip hop, a lot of guys were intimidated and had a problem with it. You know, even from the days of like MC Light, Roxanne Shante, it's just like you gotta appreciate their voices just coming through and just like killing shit. And then the whole perception of women,
Yeah.
that carried out over a whole lot. That it just got presented constantly. I can say that's probably the one thing that kind of messed me up too. And sometimes I would go there in some of my music and I didn't want to, and I'd stop. I've had to over the years stop myself because I was just like, no, I have to be aware of my content more and more. Even though certain situations that were personal, I put them out there, but I had to be just like where I might be going with my message because it feels weird. It feels weird doing it. The more you learn about people that are different from you,
Yeah.
and that was
Mhm.
the main thing. That was the main thing that did for me with misogyny and hip hop. And yeah, man, I would say that. And as far as homophobia goes, I could say this is a this is a story. I'll put this out here. So after all this time, I'm running around DC. I'm trying to finish up this project. Studio shuts down. Trying to finish up this project. Studio shuts down. All this stuff, and I'm keep on running into people who are like me, straight black males who just don't want to get shit done. They don't want to like it's always a constant battle, a teeth pull. It's like tooth pulling, literally to get them from stop being like whiny fucks and just get shit done.
Yeah.
So one day I ran into Metaphysical, who is gay, at the Metaphysical. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Ran into him, and we talk music. He has a studio. He has some instrumentals. He gives me CD. Instrumentals are dope. Love his quality. I go to his house one time and I meet who I thought was his roommate. Turned out I was his boyfriend at the time. I didn't know that because he didn't tell me that, and it was important because we were just talking business for real. So we talked it out, whatever, and I didn't stray away from it. I was just like, you know what? I'm trying to get some music done. I'm trying to get shit done. This guy's cool, no problem. So with that said, we worked out negotiation business. I paid him whatever. We were able to knock out 3 to 4. I want to say actually no. We knocked out about 5 projects. I want to say no 4. No, we knocked out 4 projects actually. And I got a lot done because he was just willing to work. So it wasn't like it. It wasn't like a thing of where it just I was just homophobic or anything. I didn't know about anybody that was gay that was into hip hop. I gotta be real with you. I didn't know. They just didn't come up, and I just didn't see them. But the fact of the matter is, it caught me off guard. But I was like, fuck all that. I need to get shit done because I was thinking about everybody else who was bullshitting so much and wanting to argue and fight and cry and throw tantrums. They were just like straight black males, and I'm just like, okay, I can get something done with this gay white guy.
Yeah.
Like, period. Like he's an engineer and he has good quality as far as the sound engineering goes and production. So I don't know, just a parable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I mean, I'm sure that this is a discussion that happens in hip hop circles on the regular, and like I said, I mean, I just kind of wanted to hear different perspectives. I mean, I don't know if it was the 80s or the 90s. It's just like, I feel like a lot of the music, not even just the hip hop, but like a lot of like hard rock and heavy metal from the 80s was like super misogynistic and pretty homophobic and like toxic. There was a lot of toxic masculinity going on there, and it was just, I don't know if it was just the time, if it was just that sort of like that freewheeling economic boom time of just greed and one deadly sin leading to others, and but I just was thinking about it. We were digging back into the Chronic, and I was just like, oh wow, I've forgotten just how crazy some of these lyrics are. And so my thought was to try to get different perspectives and try to listen and understand as much as express my own views. So all right, you guys want to put a pin in that discussion for now and jump into some music?
Yeah.
Look, man.
Well, we'll have to come back.
Unless you got more to say, Artemis.
Look, I thought you were in hot water for some reason, like with the missus. I don't know. You brought it up. I was like, something happened. I was like, why are you bringing this up now?
Nobody has given me any hassle about any of the hip hop that I listen to. So no, my wife listens to hip hop that is just as misogynistic as the stuff I've been known to listen to. So no, I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation, and like I say, I'm happy to hear perspectives.
Return to it.
Yeah, we'll come
about it every few episodes, kind of revisit it, because
yeah,
I think it's an evolving conversation right now,
right.
with the fact that, I mean, we are experiencing our first female vice president in centuries. Yeah. I mean, it's our world is changing. The demographics of our world is changing. Leadership is changing. It really is kind of calling a lot of things into play that have always been explored, but I think maybe might be time ripe to have these kinds of thoughts.
I could not agree more. And I'm happy to have super smart co-hosts that I can bounce these ideas off of. So it's great discussion. So let's come back on the other side, and we'll talk about Breeze Brewin and Juggaknots. Gonna kill it.
All right.
Raging, no patience like malpractice. To wild savage, you go apes and bananas, filling up tailpipes. Animal shit just feel right with a brother being fed, full from bull stuff and seabed drivers. They giving the right away.
There it is. Oof, that's road rage. Breeze Brewin, Juggaknots. Tia, give us the lowdown here.
Yes. So I have a special love for Breeze Brewin. It's one of my largest influences in terms of flow and sort of rhyme pattern. But Paul Smith, as his friends know him, right? I mean, a staple in underground hip hop culture, Breeze Brewin comes from sort of this dynamic sibling powered group called Juggaknots, along with his sister, Queen Heron, and his brother, Buddy Slim. And they were really definitive in shaping not only the sort of landscape of the underground scene, but specifically being from the Bronx, really a New York underground scene at that time. So they're multiple albums, compilations, EPs, singles. They've collaborated with some of the greatest. One of the things I think is the most fun of most people who know me know I love, naturally, I always love saying that, but Prince Paul is somebody who's also special to me. And Breeze Brewin also was a large collaborator on Prince Paul's A Prince Among Thieves. He played a protagonist in that sort of the first, I guess, conceptual hip opera. So just, I mean, the depth of this person, of Breeze, is just really, really loaded. Just like I said, Clear Blue Skies is the underground classic that Juggaknots released. Never got really acclaim. That got the acclaim I think it should have deserved during the indie era. But this project, Hindsight, is the first, almost 25 years after the first Juggaknots release. This is his new album. And I mean, you can say a lot about this album. Just in general, I'll say it's got really great production. You got Swiss born Seb Bash on it. You've got Marco Polo, the Juggaknots themselves. King Oxymoron was produced by Marco Polo. It's great, a great sort of lead single. That was the lead single off the album. But it's, I mean, we'll get into a lot of these songs today, but they're just, Breeze is sort of like this indelible MC. You hear his voice, you know his voice. I mean, most people that when you listen to Prince Among Thieves, if Breeze Brewin is Tariq, is a centerpiece of the story. So it's just like he solidified, I think, his space and like conceptual kind of top tier lyricism and one of the most effortless flows known in hip hop. I'm also kind of, socially conscious, being a teacher. And we'll get into that a little bit with his personal journey. But Black Milk's on here, DJ Maceo from De La Soul. I didn't even mention DJ Spinna, also incredible producer. So yeah, we can hop into it. But I want to hear a little bit from you guys first on your perspectives.
Man, let me say, when I heard about Prince Among Thieves, I was wowed by like the whole cast of rappers that was like a part of the project. But Breeze, I was wondering, who is that dude? Yeah. I was like, I had never heard this guy rap before. And I remember having the tape, and I always kept listening to Steady Slobbin'. Oh my God. If you like Ice Cube Steady Mobbin', listen to Steady Slobbin' and listen to Breeze's raps on it. That was crazy. You talk about something that influenced me on rapping too, because he has a way of doing it so smooth. You just like, how do you do that? So yeah, that, and I feel like I didn't hear about him for like a minute until like there was a big buzz about Clear Blue Skies, and like it was like internet buzz about it so much you really couldn't find it anywhere at first until like, I want to say, what was it, re-release? Yep. Yeah, re-release. Man, I can't even remember the label that put that out, but like it was a couple of years around when that came out. Now, Use Your Confusion, I played out a whole lot. I felt it was very different from their other stuff. I always liked that song he had called Leon Phelps. It's just like such a funny song in 30 something with Sadat X. We probably should just we're gonna review that album at some point.
We gotta
Use Your Confusion. Use Your Confusion is such a dope album. Yeah. But yeah, Breeze. I always called him Breezely Brewin. Wasn't it Breezely Brewin?
It was Breezely Brewin. Yes, he changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Breeze Brewin. Okay. All right. I thought I was tripping at first, but yeah,
he got sued by the cartels. It wasn't his choice. I believe he got sued by the cartels. So.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure the Breezely Brewin cartoon was like, you can't use Breezely Brewin. The Cartoon Network has a Breezely and Sneezely, and so a polar bear that wears a red scarf and blue boots. But yeah.
See, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like, it's the same guy, of course. But yeah, man, I'm just happy to dig into this album. That song Road Rage, that's I always thought like I always thought that he would end up on a label like Def Jux when it was still popping around. That sounds like a song off of one of their compilations. The way it's produced, kind of like the updated, kind of like I don't want to say old school, but updated kind of an 80s sound, and it sounds like in the now. I like how he just like flips over that track, man. So yeah, Breeze, man, one of the top in my opinion.
This album is so great. I mean, I came to know Breeze from Prince Among Thieves too, but didn't keep up with as much. I mean, I knew Clear Blue Skies, but that I didn't, wasn't kind of like wasn't part of my everyday rotation. This album was so much fun to listen to. I really, Tia, you hit it on the head. The production on this album is it's so tight. There's a lot of really interesting beats and soundscapes. I mean, his flow is just tremendous. Like this was a fun album to really dig into. So yeah, let's start listening to some of it.
Yeah.
Stuck and fed up and good morning my class. Really thinking good morning my ass, little knuckleheads. The students are rude, no. Students is dudes in the go between part enemies and part mini-me's. But the brothers are quick, but showing seeing it on some old TV, and there's nothing but love for the kids. Welcome to middle school, we're helping them little fools. Mostly gon' be this isn't cool until it's getting cool. It's the top of the list of the optimistics. Trying to resist that he got it twisted. Listen in the teacher's lounge, talking so hopeless, no focus, no karma, even seeing Obama. He peeped them sounds off and getting tight, stress on the chest, getting the best of him. Feeling like he getting through less and less of the lesson that mattered to janitor. Sense of accomplishment after cleaning, getting him wanting and having sweeping up, taking notes, picking up the doorways, figuring it ain't just trash.
Yo, that song has a lot of depth to it. Taking notes by Breeze Brewin. I feel like he had a song before that was similar to this that described his teaching experience, but I don't think it did it as deep as this. Over some production that was just so like soulful. It's almost like the way he's talking about teaching. It sounds like he is talking about like there might be a lost hope for me coming in to teach every day, and it's almost like a routine thing he's seeing that he's getting tired of or going through. And yeah, I gave this song a couple of listens, man. It's very deep, very deep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think too, a teacher as a person of color in today's world is sort of the layers of what that means. And I mean, we talk about like the idea of like, it's funny, but backpack hip hop, like I this was so much like a entendre for me. Like, I mean, he's a kind of a student and almost a symbol of like the backpack hip hop days. And yet this song, I think, like I said, Artemis kind of gets deep in that way, because I went back to listen to it to be like, is this a metaphor? But he really is a teacher I knew. And just the ideas around what it means to be a person of color who's a teacher, because there's an obligation. I think sometimes people feel like it's my job to educate young people to understand, to see themselves when they look at me, especially people who look like me, to know that there's other options for them. So yeah, and this was produced by Parallel Thought. I had never like I said, the way that they put the sample together, just everything about it. I love the marriage of the sound on this track.
Yeah, you're right. I think atmospherically that the chord choices, the music choices, all really.
Are those live drums, Ian, or are those they sound live?
I think so. Okay. It sounds live. There's plenty of live instrumentation on this album. In addition to great samples, but
I was gonna say it reminds me of a particular breakbeat though. No one
Mm.
parallel. No one parallel thought the way he's produced before. He doesn't always use like a live sound. Sorry, I just had to think about that for a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like the sound of it though. The drums are fire. Go ahead.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I think that atmospherically, it is that nice meld of the subject matter of the song, the lyrics with that music. I love that female voice.
Oh, yeah.
I love the voice just as an instrument.
Mhm.
When it doesn't matter what words you're saying, just as a musician and someone who loves melody. That's I always look for um, those little aspects of the whole. So yeah, I mean, I really dug this one. Great,
Yeah.
great
But
song,
like we
great
can have
song.
a whole show at some point, not now, but later, because I always think it's funny that not only is Breeze Brewin a New York City public school teacher, but both of his siblings are. And
Mhm.
just to think about, like, I mean, there's so many any MCs I know who, whether or not they were like indie or even overground people who are just kind of work in education of some sort. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we could have a whole show on that.
Okay. Well, we should have it. We should at least have a discussion about it because I think
Mhm.
that's an interesting subject. So, all right, let's hit King Oxymoron.
I flipped it though. Check it. You get it. When it's the king, oxymoron, like bring your jaw, get it on. Talking ambiguity, nothing your mans could do for me. When anything but a match come attached and literally make no link, but still could really make your think. And as for pronunciating, something I wanna state it was necessary to change it. The regular being strange with the oxy, I see it simple. Got nothing to do with pimples. If you declare me war on, better be there with sword drawn. So I'll remix it by slipping that prefix with the emphasis. Put the ox out. Be ready to rock now. We'll say it's wordplay, but then playing that word, ain't it? I'm working the word straight up berserk and deserve greater. Like no way that phrase go together like OJ with Mayo. Sound ill, sorta, but still baller. Listen, it's the deal. Y'all gotta be focused. Bust it, I would call it real talk, but you probably won't trust it. It's the
Uh, I feel like
Mm,
I feel like if you knew about Breeze way back and you heard this, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, that's the Breeze we know. That's the
Mhm.
Breeze we listen to. If you're new and hearing that, you're like, oh shit, what the hell is this? It's
Yeah.
fire.
yeah.
You know? Yeah, more of these from him, man. Like we far oh man, it's so far and few in between with albums with Breeze. Like you were saying, T, it's been 25 years, you know?
Exactly.
And now we get to hear him again just on his own,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Just, it's dope. It's just dope, though, to hear him, like, just spit like he's doing it again, you know?
That,
So,
Mm,
yeah, that's exactly what I said when I heard this track. I was like, wow, this is, like you said, one Marco Polo, I don't know, brings out something. I just the Marco Polo Master Ace project comes in mind when I think about it. It's just like really this almost hard but beautiful production, which I don't really know how you can even kind of be both. Is such a skill that he can do that to be a
it's a
soundscape.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just and Bruce Breeze I think his like he's got this word play that's always been like he turns words on their edge and like I mean it's like I record that real talk but you probably won't trust it. I'm gonna keep my opposites attractive. Y'all could sleep but you could get it active. Like it's the whole like his patterns are just like they're otherworldly. There's very few people I think that can do that kind of level of rap is still say conversational because so many people can get the tone is just like he's really a brilliant person when it comes to being able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I felt like the song was maybe the top, at least for me anyway, kind of like the top example of his flow. This to me, it was lyrically for him. It was my favorite of his lyrics on this album because it's just you know, I mean, you guys hit on it. His flow is impeccable. It's super conversational without having to be overly energetic. His breath control is just right on point. And the stuff that he's saying, like, you know, I mean, I write for a living, and so I appreciate the value of every single word and nothing in there that need not be there, and everything having as deep meanings as possible. And yeah, just great. I mean, the production was sparse, but I feel like it lays a nice foundation for his lyricism on this track. King Oxymoron, yeah,
Yeah.
top notch, top notch. All right, should we jump into our last one here? Eye Papa.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Her style was sex, stallion-esque. Matter of fact, better than crack, bound the flesh. Now's the test. Excuse me, miss. Yeah, my dude be pissed, yet he steady pursuing boo when he hooked, and you know the purpose. Shorty gotta be goddess, he looking below the surface. Probably not as he was stuck on the pin up missing. But would I give up? Give up your body, nobody hotter. She got all the apple bumpers to mention. Had him stunned to detention, which ain't see honey wanted, so maybe something was on it. Was the dinner and the movie. Beginning to prove he really worthy of the curve. He swear he getting that booty. I'm saying damn as he finger. I'm saying she mean, but really next to be the texting me playing Anthony Mina and that candidate I can't relate. About to be the dropout. I doubt that he can stop now. He talking her body popping out her dress. I'll pop her. Your eyes be popping out your head. I'll pop her.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now
the choir. It's got the choir.
the choir, right? But hold on, Tia, that song "Strip Club" off of "Use Your Confusion." I feel like you could parallel this song with this one, with iPopper for some reason, because he's very because like you don't really hear Breeze talk about women like in this way until like later on in his career.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like the strip joint that caught me off guard. I was like, wait, what? What's this? But it was kind of fire because I was like, okay, he's trying to do some like club stuff. All right, I see
It
it.
feels like
It feels right. But when in this song, it's like way more soulful. It's like very like smooth and slick. I was like, okay, now I see it. It that was the only thing about Breeze that ever caught me off guard when he would talk about love, relationships, or approaching women or whatever. It was like a different thing for me to hear from him. But he doesn't evade from a style or anything he's doing,
yeah,
and he goes in and he makes it so smooth and
yeah.
effortlessly on the topic. So yeah, I dug this joint a whole lot. Dug it a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's funny too when you say that. I hadn't thought about it, but it does have that. It's almost like a grown up. You go from the strip club to the gentleman's lounge or something.
Nice.
It feels more grown up and dressed up, but because he's grown up and dressed up, but it's still to me. I like hearing him get a little bit more. I don't know, fun and folly, and kind of like add that groove to the song. Um, yeah, I spun this song back because I was trying to figure out what sample it is. I'm actually going to figure that out because I'm like, I know this sample because it's been used by so many people. Um, but anyway, that vocal sample, I'm like, I gotta figure out what that is. But this song is so fun, and like it's one of the ones that I kind of like was like, let me just kind of dig it. I'm just gonna hang out with this one for a little while. It's a nice drive, you
Yeah.
know, drive with you song. And like, again, this is like, it showcases to me that where we've all said kind of this effortless flow, but like he's got like this really abled confidence that just kind of is like the voice, it's like I think we don't put enough attention on like how voices are important in hip hop, but like Breeze, his voice is so distinctive. It's, several people have that kind of voice in hip hop where you're like, I know. And like, again, I think about, back from like the fire in which you burn from Company Flow or something, like everybody knows the voice, you know what I mean? Like his voice is just cuts through everything, when he's on a track, because it's just, and this to me is like his voice is front and center on this song.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hard to add to all of that. I mean, yeah, tremendous production on this one. Who's producing this one with it? Let me get my list here. Megalo. Ooh, that's tight. That's tight. And the lyrics are fun. He just, he's one of those easy rappers. It just flows naturally. I always like rappers who don't have to emote quite as much
Yeah.
because I'm kind of like a monotone talker. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess I kind of naturally just default to that kind of timbre. But yeah, no, another great track. Great track.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any closing thoughts on this album before we get into Aceyalone?
I hope we see this on hard copy because I don't know if it's I don't know. I don't think it's on hard copy, but it might be.
Fat Beats I think maybe
Oh
just
yeah.
like now is releasing hard copies. Like
Mm.
it hasn't even hit their store yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Get us some vinyl. Get us some vinyl.
yeah.
And Breeze, and Breeze, if you want to keep using Breezely and you need an IP lawyer, I got you. I got you right here, brother. I haven't done it in a few years, but you know what? I can roll up my sleeves. I can roll up my sleeves and fight for you.
Right. And I thought Artemis is interesting because it kind of connects back to our opening topic. But when you
Right.
were like, it was always kind of weird to hear Breeze rap about like women or relationships and that kind of thing. But it's interesting because, right, the difference, I think, of how he talks about it. One, his sister has been a constant collaborator. And
Right.
I think just interesting when you do have that kind of presence that maybe you articulate better sort of the thoughts in your head about women, and just like how you talk about the topic is just really nuanced and mature. So it's interesting that taking this back to the misogyny thing of like, just boy, the younger generation stand to learn something out of like some of these artists that are from the golden era that have been able to like cross over into today's audience, the new age stuff, and yet still be respectful and bring a lot of that sort of topics, but really have a nice approach to it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And also, when you are around and have healthy relationships with women, they check you when you step out, and that's And then Artemis, you and I, we've both been there. I know every man has been checked by the women in his life at some point, and hopefully we learn from those experiences as opposed to rail against them.
Let me open my book and give a check.
There we go.
Yes. Well, I'm single for a reason, so.
We're gonna have a dating show that is.
Oh no. Oh no.
Ladies, submit your resumes for if you want to date Artemis, and we will review them.
Look, after COVID, I after COVID, bro. That's how I feel right now.
I think after COVID, a lot of people are just going to be like, "Fuck, I just survived a year without."
Yeah.
What do I need it for? Oh God, this pandemic is going to change us in so many different ways, but at least people are still making music, man. I love it. It's a great album. Let's come back on the other side. We'll talk Aceyalone.
Yes, indeed.
Let's begin. Assalamu alaikum, people of goodwill. I offer you the greeting of thought, manifested skill to finally reveal the open-end chapter. As real as the flesh that you're embodied in. To the skull cavity, your mind is writing it. I'll be riding it.
What you were just introduced to right then on Grande Loq was the amazing sophomore effort by the illustrious, very smooth, poetic, jazzy, I can say jazzy, MC, lyricist by the name of Aceyalone, aka Eddie Hayes. I think it's Eddie Hayes Jr. born September 30th, 1970, a Libra, such as myself, so I can relate to him. 1/5 of the Freestyle Fellowship crew, part of the Project Blow family, pretty much like you could call him a godfather of that whole scene. He has albums such as All Balls Don't Bounce, Magnificent City with RJD2, which, by the way, if you paid close attention to that album, the last song on that album, the instrumental for it, was the theme song for Mad Men. But you gotta go back and check it out. A lot of people don't know that. Love and Hate, that was on Def Jux. We talked about Def Jux earlier. Great album. He has so much. He's even been putting out recent works more now. I picked this album in particular because I was saying earlier how much it's like a academic kind of album to me. I feel like when I heard this album, I got put onto it because I was hearing rumors about this album coming out and being harder to find because he wasn't on his major label, which put out All Balls Don't Bounce. And All Balls Don't Bounce was great. It stayed in rotation with me for a while, and I used to just rip my homeboy's CD, have it on dub tape and not listen to the album because I couldn't really find it everywhere. All Balls Don't. I'm sorry. A book of Human Language. It was listening to it. I was blown away because the very first song you hear, not the intro for the forward, but the guidelines. He goes into it at the end of forward. He goes into guidelines, telling you that this is a song that did not make his album, which he is implying that was All Balls Don't Bounce. I wish I knew the whole story behind it, and I actually wish I knew what show that Aceyalone was performing at. There was intro that was taken from this live performance. That was intro in the guidelines, but that was key though because his whole label situation, major label situation, was a kind of had some weird history with it. But anyways, a book of human language coming out was big for the independent underground scene, and it became kind of like a hard album to find, especially if you're on the East. If you're out West, you could find it somewhere. On the East, it was a little scarce, Even more so, the instrumentals produced by Mumbles, who did an amazing job entirely producing this. The instrumentals were very rare to find, especially on vinyl. It was set up like a book, of course, a book of human language. When I first heard about it, I thought it was like a book. I was like, he wrote a book afterwards? But then I was like, oh no, it's a book of human language. He took the concept, he flipped it, and then everything is like the vision, the hunt, the reason, all these different things that go into just what he's describing in this album he's going through different types of personalities in human beings and different kinds of I want to say actions or reactions people have within society and interacting. So with all that said, we definitely gonna get to the team, hear from y'all, how y'all feel about it. But let's get into these songs. Oh yeah, first let me say this. The bump was the guidelines. Live bass sounds dope. I'm still trying to figure out how Mumbles put that beat together, and Aceyalone is going off on that track. I think part of it was freestyle, if I'm not mistaken. I think some of that was really a freestyle, but he was able to put together the written parts and the freestyles together so seamlessly well. You couldn't tell most of the time, I guess, But I love the guidelines. Such a great song. But without further ado, let's get into one of the other songs on the album, one of my favorites, The Energy. Let's go for it.
One source, the energy can and will be dictated in any direction, in any situation,
which way anyone shall choose. Right now, since I'm a center of this energy, I'll choose to make it positive energy. And as for the negative energy, I'm gonna overpower the negative energy. Because I know it's out there and it's like a disease. And see, once my light magnifies, the disease dies. Once my light magnifies, the disease dies. Yeah, disease can't fight. Oxygen and light, I box them in so tight, know where they go.
Where they gonna go?
This is low, they won't know what hit them. I want them, then I energy submit them. Police
Yourself.
well, so you can live longer and stronger.
Strong up for real though.
What you subject to, but I suppose it ain't a bed of roses, and neither is mine. So let the energy combine and strip the numbers. There's no need to wonder. Or blunder, gonna land down under the pipe storm drain where it hurts so good. But
It hurts so good. Anyways, I've talked a lot. I've talked enough. Introing this album in, bringing the song in. Let's get to the team. Let's get to the team about this one.
Yeah.
Ian, what's up, man?
The energy, man. The energy. I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. I love that. I love that sample. I love that production. That breakbeat is just so. It's subtle at the beginning, almost like a drummer who's just kind of like, hitting the tambourine before and then like once he starts rapping, then the snare starts cracking, and it's beautiful. We talk about it all the time when we talk these albums. It's like it's quintessentially 90s hip hop, just beautiful. Great lyrics, super flow, awesome.
Nice. Yo, T, what you thinking?
This song has always been one of my favorites on this album because I love the sample. When you talk about what makes a great artist is how sometimes they use a sample that's been used by a lot of people. And I always think Dorothy Ashby is somebody who's been sampled so much because just, her harp is so well known. And then just sort of being in the soul jazz kind of eclectic sort of, I guess if we want an esoteric jazz movement, her music makes it really kind of a perfect soundscape for hip hop. But I mean, it's very hard for me to think about too many people who can rap over theremin and flutes and all this kind of otherworldly sounds that come with esoteric jazz. And I'm like, that's where I think Aceyalone is in a class all by himself, pun intended. He's Aceyalone when it comes to that, that can handle rapping in that way over a jazz harpist that's, like I said, with really layered kind of music in it, and it's sublime. I just he's on one on this track.
Yeah, some deep crate digging.
Yeah,
seriously, man. The lyrics, I had to re-listen to the lyrics again because I remembered I heard it and I was just like, wow, he's really breaking down the whole concept of energy. Literally electricity and everything, or just
gigawatts,
gigawatts. How people approach you and that you get from them, you're just like, oh wow, he's the transference of energy too. Yeah. And what I loved about this song was it was short, but when he ends the song, he goes right into the hurt, and the hurt slows down, and it's the hurt is just such a twisted kind of dark song. But it's it works with what he's talking about with energy. You're up high, then you're up low, then you're down low, Yeah. And it's such a dope way to put together an album to have songs like those connected. So yeah, man, dope song. Yeah, now, sure. Here goes a song that I used to just try to wrap my head around a lot of how you could come up with this concept. This is called The Hold. Let's go.
Hey, hold on. Hold on, it's what they say. When I say open up your hands and let it fly away, till the day it comes back and it was meant to be. Take a look at the lovely gift of water sentiment. Don't suffer, you got to maintain. The rougher the storm gets, the more they complain. They don't aim, they shoot sporadically. Panicky and so dramatically, he ran frantically, summarized by the look in his eyes. He couldn't hold on after one too many tries. He He held on tight. He put his arms around it and he squeezed with all his might. Don't fight, you should let it go. And sooner than you think, it will be right back at your door. Open it up if you open up to learn. Got your head between your legs, nobody returns. They're not concerned, it's so continuous. No matter what my opinion is, it's all strenuous. Summarize while the look in his eyes. He couldn't hold on if there were too many tries.
He had on tight. He's lost Mike. Yo, that was a crazy song. Ian, what you thinking, man?
That's really seems to me like really sparse production on a drum machine, and then just like some kind of like MIDI keyboard, and just, you know, a quick beat that is just a great bed for those lyrics to lay on. Just yeah, so much fun that song is.
Nice. Yo, T, what you thinking?
I totally agree. I think like you can't go wrong with like these percussive tracks, but again, it goes back to like I had to remember that this album I think came out in '98, and for me that is like such a weird time, I think, in like for this album to sound like what it sounds like, because it really is kind of nostalgic in its time. In '98 it's nostalgic. And it's got, you know, I love the percussive kind of sound to it, with like, just like you said, layered bars. Like Aceyalone is such a jazz musician of words, like the way that his flow, I mean, he invented a style. Well, I'm sure we'll wrap up with talking about that, but like that style that he invented, kind of, to me, this song feels very reminiscent of that. And it shows you like all you know, so many children and siblings that Aceyalone has. It's not an island by any means, because there's so many children who followed the pattern of like what he created. And like this song to me feels like this is the birth of like, a lot of people heard this and are like, yo, I need to do that. I need that. Yeah.
No, I like the layers. I like the layers on the vocals. There's a lot of call and response, it feels like, especially on this tune. Yeah. Notice out.
Well, one thing I like about songs sometimes is they can make the verses sound like the hook, or the hook sound like the verses. They kind of intertwine them to the point where people catch it well. They catch it so much and they're just like, oh wait, that's the verse. No, it's the hook. It's the verse. You're like, oh, but the repetition is like sinking into your head. So when he brings back the concept of whole, he puts a different connotation on it each time. And I'm just like, how does he come up with something that easy and flip it like that? Something that's like so minuscule. Because he does that a lot. Like he has a song called 5 Feet, right? On the Cater to the DJ compilation by Fat Jack. That song is like literally, and it's funny, we're in a pandemic and we have to be 6 feet apart. He's literally talking about having your space from people. Like he's literally talking about he doesn't like being on packed trains on the bus. He doesn't like people touching him on the arm or coughing on him. Takes little concepts like that and flips them so well. Now,
5 feet.
Example
5
like
feet's
Hulk.
not
like,
enough, though, man.
5 feet, exactly.
Actually, you know what? And that's all. And as a matter of fact, it's only catered to the DJ by Fat Jack, and it's also on Aceyalone's Eclectic, which is a dope album. I forgot to mention that album. That's such a dope album. Yeah, man, he's really good at doing that.
He's good. He's so like, that's what makes me, this song I love, because again, one thing Artemis we doing and being a part of Nerd Course, everybody wants to do these odd time signatures, but they're not necessarily kind of doing it and with the kind of grace that like Aceyalone. It's very hard to have that kind of grace, let's just say. But it's like he really is just like brilliant about odd time signatures, but also, I mean, come on, it's very hard as a rapper to do that without failing. And like somehow he is like shines. That's where he's able to say like, I know you want to be me, but there's only one. I'm alone.
Yeah, alone.
I mean,
AC alone.
Yeah.
It's not AC. It's not AC with others. AC alone.
Stop, man. Like I don't want him getting us in trouble because you make that joke. Don't.
Is Marcus gonna put a dad joke on graphic?
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to get in trouble with Aceyalone, man. He's one of my favorite rappers, man. Stop it.
You're embarrassing me in front of my favorite rapper.
Don't do it. But no, yeah. I was gonna say what you're saying, T. I agree with, but they were all around jazz musicians though too.
Yeah.
So you see, like, that comes into play, and he's able to adapt and adjust his style to like so many different rhythms. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, great track the whole. And now we're going to get into actually, T. You read my mind on when I was thinking about this track as well. Um, the Faces, such a dope track. Let's get into it. All right.
Come here, let me holler at you face to face. CA's been place to place and seen a million of them. They look at me for a split second and they grin, never to be seen again. But it's locked in, so I can read every line. It's written all over your upside down mind with an upside down smile. Hoops upside your head. Well, hey now, I never forget a face, especially yours, cause the mirror is the only dimension of outdoors. I look out to look in, that's right, and then begin to look out for the faces of men. Cause I've been face to face with a serpent, demon and a saint, think it is when it ain't. White like snow and black like coal, yellow like the moon and red like a book. To live and die is the plot, but the face is the hook. So meet the face from left field. 3 eyes, 2 ears, 1 nose, and a grill, but still remains faceless. Oh yeah, let me holler at you face to face. CA's been place to place and seen plenty of them. But don't let the face fool you. So many of them, but still remain faceless. Let me holler at you.
Such a mysterious song, a head nodder,
Mm-hmm.
nice groove, but you listen to it, you're like, wow, this is mysterious. You don't even know who he's talking about particularly. You know, yo, Ian, what you thinking, man?
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit it. It's a head nodder and tremendous groove. I love that. Whatever that bass is going through there is dope as fuck. And yeah, I mean, just great track. Great track.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now, Tia, you, when I was bringing up this album and we were talking about going through the songs, you brought up something good about this song that I thought was important.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you get
thought,
into it,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought it was so interesting about, I mean, kind of where we are right now, like in the idea of physical appearance and shaping human interaction and our perceptions of each other. Like this is the kind of space where, like, again, like you've got a person who can really take a complex topic in a very unique manner, a complex rhyming style, kind of complex samples, like just the whole idea that there's so much significance I think that is around this album, just because it's really poetic, and it like tracks in with spoken word poetry is so embedded in this song. And I
Mhm.
thought about that too. It's almost like a connective piece. The bridge in between track to track is like, you know um really interesting, kind of like, I don't know, like you talked about the book, the whole idea, but it does really feel like a book on tape or whatever,
Mhm.
an audio book, and the flow of it. So I love this song because I feel like it's like one of those songs that's really this eccentric thing, but it's such exceptional delivery. And like Ian said, the music of it is just like, again, not too many people can really shine on an instrumental like this. It's like,
Hmm.
a lot of the times Aceyalone can do stuff of like that Walls and Windows song. It's like, it's insane. It's like harps and horns and chimes and like, it's not too many people who can kind of get in the pocket. Like, I would have loved to hear him on like a go-go track, because it's like he knows how to
Mm.
find it, and like he can do percussion like nobody's business. So I would love to hear him on something like that.
And that's and
Yes.
that's a, that's an interesting point about him style wise. He is
Mm-hmm.
able to he actually got into more of that kind of style with live band sound later on. Like albums like leaning on Slick, he really found a newer pocket to get into around the 2010 to 2020 era, and you gotta credit him for that. He
Yeah.
definitely like found his lane in that. Um, trying to think of something else with this track, man, because this track, I kind of listened to it. I kind of imagine if there was a video for it, I almost feel like he would be driving through a desert with like some reflective glasses and looking in a mirror or something. I don't know why, but it just has such a very like mysterious Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas feel to it. I don't know why it gives you that vibe. It definitely gives you that kind of like trippy vibe, and
Yeah.
because the metaphors he's using for people who probably backstab him or try to fool him or give him like false kind of like emotional like interaction is just very is very different, you know.
What's the line? We were 10 miles out of Barstow and the drugs kicked in or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like yeah, something like yeah, you know, it's just stuff. I don't know. It's just stuff.
Hey.
There's a lot of what he's talking about within like the whole song, man.
And
It
face
just
metaphors, like, right? Like, it's
yeah,
like baby face, you know, you think about like
Face
the
to face.
idea around like
yeah,
the all the different face words that you can use, like face the wall, and a clock has faces, and a mirror,
right.
all the things of like that we think about, and like, you know, what it means to mean Scarface, and like, oh, he's so
Yeah,
good at like just throwing that stuff in there, and then it's over your head before you can even get into it. It's like,
Yes.
man, I see how he inspired a whole generation of
We
people.
call that wordplay, don't we?
Yeah.
yes, we do. Now,
No, I mean I love the rhythms, the jazz rhythms that he's playing over, that he's rhyming over, and it feels like um, the producers who lean on jazz, I feel like don't always take advantage of the different rhythms. They're kind of just using harmonic aspects and just putting that, you know, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, you know, kind of that just straight 4 on the floor backbeat. And I thought there was some really interesting stuff going on in this album. The Jabberwocky is another one that was like
Yeah. Yep.
way out there, and yeah, but it all does like come back at some point to like a great backbeat that, you know, he's able to just really flow over.
so is that your final thought on the whole project? Because I was going to ask you your final thought.
Yeah, that's my final thought. I love, you know me, I love any kind of jazz inflected hip hop. I like to think of myself as a very intermediate jazz player, but aspiring to greatness.
Okay, that's what's up. Tia, what's your final thoughts?
I mean, I think is interesting. We have talked about sort of good life and, you know, just the LA underground scene, but I mean, for the Aceyalone, 30 years could come out with, I mean, I feel like any one of those albums could come out today, could have come out 10 years ago at any time. It's such a timeless thing. But I had never even thought about the fact that I saw something recently about like how Bone Thugs and Harmony was so you know, just kind of taken aback by his style and studied Aceyalone. Like, you would think like that would, they were kind of connected to another part of LA movement, but yet Aceyalone was like their, like, we want to do this sing song rap style, and he is it for us. And they took that and kind of, and then I mean the double time, like, gosh, he's inspired. Everybody wants to do that now. It's like the thing. And like the chop pop or whatever they call it. So it's like, man, Aceyalone, you got to get this album. You got to kind of, it's not only nostalgic, but it's almost futuristic, which is weird to be both, but you can. And I mean, just consider this is a sophomore work. And like where people say you can't, the sophomore jinx or whatever it is, like this defies that. This is like one of those, like, whether you like Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders kind of conversation. Like this is a sophomore album that kind of you can say can supersede the first. Like you need both. You need
Great
all
artists.
balance too.
I think there's a lot of artists who kind of like shoot their wad on the first album. They've had an entire life of building up their song catalog. They've been able to pick out the best stuff. But like the real great artists, I feel like, are the ones that have excellent second albums, because that's, you know, you've got that gift for crafting songs and crafting music. So yeah.
Is that your final thought?
I might have a few more, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it there. I know how late we're running.
I know, that's long. I'm messing with you.
So,
Tia, you
Tia,
good, Tia?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I mean, I just say recommend this album again, and to
sure,
get like maybe another set of work so you can just the body of work so you can fully process how dope this album is.
for
No
sure,
doubt.
for sure.
And of course, I picked it. I'm gonna tell you to get it, buy it. If you can't find it on Discogs for a good price, definitely get it. If you're a vinyl head, it's gonna probably run you. Um, it might run you 100. It might. They repressed it. They what if at first when it was first out, I mean, it was definitely like a regular price for a while you could find it, but when it got too rare, it was up in like the hundreds.
They do.
So it's gonna like kind of fluctuate wherever you can find it. You can find the instrumentals. Oddly enough, I didn't think you could find them for a while, but they repressed Mumble's instrumentals. Actually, look on Discogs, you can find it. Now with that said, I asked for Marcus, the illustrious Marcus, to hook me up with a little something to go out on from this album since I love it so much. This is called The Reason because he's explaining the reason why he made the whole entire album and naming all the songs. So we'll be back on the other side. So yeah, Grande Loq. Yeah.
Music, please. Yeah. You want to know the reason? You want to know the reason? The reason is we gotta have those guidelines. I'ma break the guideline. I'ma move the barriers. I'ma cross over the barricade. And we gotta have balance. The reason is balance. The reason is everything gotta be weighed out and smoothed out and be in perfect harmony with each other. You know what I'm saying? The energy gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? The reason is the hurt. The reason is the hold. The walls, the windows. They got eyes. They got ears. The Jabberwocky. The test of the manhood. We got the grandfather clock. We gotta have time. We gotta have the reason. We gotta know the march. We gotta know about the faces, face to faces. We gotta have the hunt. The hunter has to die. The hunted has to die. So we have the thief for the night. We gotta have the thief. The reason is the thief. The reason is it's all human language. It's all human language. It's for you. It's for him. It's for her. It's for all of us. It's human language. That's the reason. You wanna know the reason? That's the reason.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh man, that's awesome. That kind of sounds like Gil Scott Heron right there, man. So
Yeah.
anyway, this was Grande Loq, the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. Thank you for watching or listening, however you are consuming this show. We hope you are enjoying it. We're enjoying it. I think we're having a lot of fun discussions, a lot of great talks, and we're digging deep into some really, really great music. So Tia, Artemis, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been always fun.
Always fun. Always fun. So if you've enjoyed this show, again, we would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, review, tell people about us, give us the opportunity to keep chopping it up about great hip hop. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook right now. We're on Spotify, TuneIn,
Yeah.
Alexa, iHeartRadio. All you got to do is search Grande Loq. Grande, like you're at Starbucks, Loq with a Q. And yeah, give us a listen. Give us a listen. Have fun with us. Have fun with us. Production is courtesy of Marcus Donovan, the Pasteurized Chef. You can check out his show, the District of Misfits show, every Sunday evening. They go live at 9, and it is super fun, super loose. This is a District Dogface Studios production. Big shout out to Jamie Raskin. Thank you for letting us into your brain. Peace.
Peace.